I'm at a brand new nanotech innovation center that's set to boost the development of the world's most advanced chips.
I'm Leslie Liao in central Taiwan's Changhua County, where a life-saving shipment of rescue vehicles and goods is about to head to Ukraine.
Taiwan's presidential candidates weigh in on a trade agreement from nearly a decade ago. Plus, getting one's gender right on a national ID card. It's a complicated process for Taiwan's transgender community.
Hello, and welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Eric Gao. Japanese company Hitachi High-Tech has opened a new research center in Taiwan to help develop the most advanced chips. It's located just a short drive away from the world's leading chip maker, TSMC. Joyce Zeng reports.
Behind these windows is Japanese company Hitachi High-Tech's brand new Nanotechnology Innovation Center. It's a sign that at least for some foreign chip makers, they have not been dissuaded by geopolitical tensions to continue investing in Taiwan. In fact, they've been working to move physically closer to key clients like TSMC, which is just 15 minutes down the road. TSMC is the world's largest contract chip maker and produces the majority of the most advanced semiconductors, the brains that power almost every electronic device. They're competing to squeeze the latest tech onto a record-breaking 2-nanometer chip, trying to beat out South Korea's Samsung and U.S. tech giant Intel. And with this new 3,500 square meter nanotech center right in their backyard, the race just got even tighter. In a sign of closer Taiwan and Japan collaboration in tech, the opening ceremony saw traditional performances from both countries to ring in a stronger partnership. Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen was also in attendance.
未来这座中心将强化客制化的技术。 落实关键零组件在台生产，不但能够支持台湾的厂商保持竞争优势，也将带来优质的就业机会。
Though tensions between Washington and Beijing over chips have continued to escalate, other global players have been reinforcing their own supply lines. Aside from Taiwan, Hitachi is also expanding its footprint near Intel in the U.S. state of Oregon, as well as in South Korea. Meanwhile, Japan's leading chip maker, Tokyo Electron, will also set up new bases, with one in the city of Kumamoto, where TSMC is building a production site. Though there has been an industry-wide slump, clearly that has not slowed down investments. At least here at Hitachi, what they're saying is investing in Taiwan is equivalent to securing your position on the global stage. So it's looking like Taiwan will continue to be a critical hub for chip makers. Patrick Chen and Joyce Zhen in Hsinchu City for TaiwanPlus.
Stars are gathering in Taipei ahead of the 34th Golden Melody Awards, Taiwan's version of the Grammys. The awards are among the most prestigious in the Chinese-speaking music industry. They reflect Taiwan's multi-ethnic society, with prizes for artists singing in Mandarin, Taiwanese Hokkien, Hakka, and indigenous languages. Performers from across Asia are scheduled to perform this year. This includes Japanese band King Gnu and Thai singer Pumviparit. Mandopop stars JJ Lin, Ah Ling, and last year's big winner, Tanya Chua, will also take to the stage. Dozens of rescue vehicles are going to Ukraine, donated by Taiwan. Leslie Liao was there to see off the first batch of this life-saving equipment.
All of these rescue vehicles are heading for Ukraine. It's all part of a massive donation organized by the Taiwan Presbyterian Church in Changhua. And it's not just vehicles going to Ukraine. Food, medical equipment, office supplies, toiletries, clothing, anything that'll help improve Ukrainian lives will be loaded onto these cars and shipped out.
预计要送出48台，里面有那个救护车，还有消防车，还有康复巴士，还有那个4轮传动。
All of the vehicles in this massive donation are decommissioned from Taiwan's various service agencies. More are available, but they lack the funding to make it to Ukraine.
上百台是预计可以收到上百台从政府机关退役的消防车这些，可是目前的资金是还没有足够去支付这些剩下的50多台的费用。
Acquiring decommissioned rescue vehicles in Taiwan is not easy. The country's foreign, interior, economic, financial, and health ministries, as well as the country's emergency services, stepped in to help.
in terms of regulations, we really needed a lot of work in order to let the government to give us, to sell us the ambulance in discount price. Shipping is a problem. There are several times that we almost gave up.
Ukrainian officials also got involved, sending a letter requesting help from Taiwan's authorities.
The cars that you are sending our way, that will travel all over the world and arrive to Ukraine, will be used for the rescue and protection of our citizens, and will allow us to fight better and last longer.
Organizers have been collecting donations by the literal pallet load. As you can see here, boxes of goods will make their way to Ukraine. These have all been donated by Taiwanese donors. And one of the biggest donors is a Changhua business owner who wishes to remain anonymous but goes by Mr. Bai.
There was just one day I received a phone call from him. He told me that he wanted to donate more than few millions Taiwanese dollar. I was very shocked. And I thought it's a scam, actually.
At first, he just wanted to buy cars to outright donate, but as the project expanded, he had to reach out to government officials to make all of this possible. He didn't just buy cars, some of them are donated by government officials and other Good Samaritans, but he did spend around $300,000 refurbishing some of these rescue vehicles. Once the ambulances get there, a local NGO will help distribute them.
I will personally make sure your kindness will be delivered to the most urgent places in need.
The war in Ukraine is nearing the 1.5-year mark, and the conflict's initial shock may have waned as it's become a part of everyday life. But this donation proves that people in Taiwan still care and still want to help. All that's left now is to get these vehicles into shipping containers and to their destination. Leon Lian and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan is purchasing 14 mine launchers from the U.S. This Volcano system is designed to defend against tanks and other armored vehicles. But what role could it play in a potential war with China? Jaime Okan explains.
With a push of a button, roughly a dozen landmines pop out into the air. This is the Volcano anti-tank mine launcher. It's a U.S.-made weapon, and on Thursday, Taiwan's military revealed it had bought 14 in a deal worth about $146 million US.
我们有了这一个火山这个系统，这一个机动的一个部队车辆的话，那我们是不是可以在短时间之内用比较少的人力去达到快速布雷的一个效果？
Mines are a key part of so-called asymmetric warfare. That means using mobile and easy-to-use weapons to take out larger, more expensive systems. It's a strategy that smaller armies can use to level the playing field when they're outnumbered. In Ukraine, mines have been used to slow down Russia's invasion. And Taiwan's military is learning from Ukraine's experience. These mines could be placed on Taiwan's coast and prevent enemy forces from landing.
目的是快速的，就是 delay 或者是 block 或 turn the enemy， 就是让敌人无法入侵。那它是一个防卫性的武器。
But although this weapon is supposed to protect Taiwan, some argue it could be dangerous for people who live here. Mines are left behind in conflict zones long after the last shots are fired, taking decades to clear. But the Volcano has safety features built in.
所以它在设计的时候就已经是让它有一个就是自动摧毁的装置，也就是有个像是定时器。 在那个战争结束之后，它就无法再发挥作用了。
These new systems are set to arrive by 2029. They'll add another layer to the country's defenses, one that Taiwan hopes never needs to be tested. Eason Chen and Jaime Okan for TaiwanPlus.
A Chinese spy balloon that flew over the United States earlier this year did not collect any information. That's according to the U.S. Defense Department. The U.S. shot down the balloon over the Atlantic Ocean in February and collected its debris for analysis. China denied that the device was for spying, saying it was a weather balloon that had been blown off course. The incident put extra pressure on already strained U.S.-China relations and led Secretary of State Antony Blinken to postpone a trip to Beijing. A decade-old trade agreement with China has emerged as a hot topic in Taiwan's upcoming presidential election. The catch, it was never implemented. Eric Tsai has more.
It was the biggest protest in Taiwan's recent history. In 2014, hundreds of thousands of young people took to the streets and some even occupied the country's legislature. What came to be known as the Sunflower Student Movement brought about major changes in Taiwan's political scene. At its root, a trade deal with China called the Cross-Strait Services Trade Agreement, or CSSTA. This agreement was supposed to be step one of a two-part trade framework between Taiwan and China. It was negotiated by then-President Ma Ying-jeou of the opposition Kuomintang, or KMT, who said it would help boost Taiwan's economy. The agreement was aimed at lowering barriers to service-based businesses in Taiwan and China that wanted to have operations on the other side of the strait. Industries it would have affected including banking, healthcare, tourism, and publishing. After the services trade deal was sealed, trades in goods would follow. Now, as Taiwan heads into election season, the CSSTA has resurfaced as a political football. It started when a policy paper from the Third Force Taiwan People's Party was leaked. The paper called for the CSSTA to be revived. The party's presidential candidate, former Taipei Mayor Ko Wen-je, had since received backlash for bringing the issue up again. Now, all three presidential hopefuls are weighing in. Hou Youyi of the KMT urges more dialogue and economic exchanges with China.
从以前到现在，我们的政策方向非常明确，两岸不但要重启对话、务实交流，包括两岸服贸协议。
But the ruling Democratic Progressive Party, or DPP, opposes the trade agreement, fearing economic over-reliance on China. Its candidate Lai Ching-te stresses that what Taiwan needs is more technological development and innovation.
那我真的非常希望有机会跟大家一起合作，包括人工智慧，以及包括其他的工具，一起打造台湾第二次的经济奇迹。
Both Ho and Lai's stances are in line with their party's position on the agreement. They also haven't changed since the sunflower protests nearly 10 years ago. Ke of the Taiwan People's Party had come out in support of the protesters. At that time, he was not a politician, but a doctor. He said he didn't like the way the KMT was trying to push the CSSTA through.
今天在所谓服务贸易协定作为一个医界第一线的临床的人我不是反服务贸易协定，我是反黑箱到底内面是啥物件都唔知影。
Clips like this one are now resurfacing, and Ke's opponents have been using them as ammunition against him. It's brought the events of a decade ago back into the spotlight.
This issue has come up 9 years after the Sunflower Movement, and also it takes place at a time that the DPP is running a slate of candidates that are largely drawn from the Sunflower Movement, despite the fact that the Sunflower Movement in 2014 was this massive backlash against the CSSTA. The KMT having experienced successive defeats in the years since, this has become idealized as a period in which the KMT was actually doing quite well.
With the election a little more than 6 months away, this issue from the past could become a deciding factor for Taiwanese voters. Andy Xue and Eric Tsai for TaiwanPlus.
Coming up, a famous tree in Taitung is getting a health check. Stay tuned for more.
Start your weekend with a cup of coffee and a moment to reflect on what happened this week.
Hello and welcome.
We've got you covered, from defense and politics to high-tech and the arts.
Not just to Taiwan, the whole world is watching.
You make the coffee,
we make the news.
Here's what happened on TaiwanPlus.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Taiwan is trying to emit less carbon as it works to hit net zero emissions by 2050. But what happens when companies that say they're cutting emissions fail to live up to expectations? Bryn Thomas has this story.
For years, this has been the cost of doing business. Now, Taiwan is taking a two-pronged approach to tackling carbon emissions. So-called carbon credits for companies that voluntarily cut down their emissions are the carrot, while fines issued to major emitters are the stick. It's part of a carbon reduction scheme that some fear will fail to create a significant change. That's because companies often try to pass off small changes as real sustainability.
法规已经管制，譬如说我们一定要用
某种能效的这个灯泡哦，那你在更换灯泡，当然就不具有任何减碳的效益，因为法律已经规定你要这样子去做。
This practice is called greenwashing. It's when businesses follow the letter of the law, but don't do much beyond that. Critics say incentives like carbon credits allow big companies to continue emitting as usual. They can simply exchange the credits to avoid a fee.
那这个必须要环保署来做认定，也它认定了哪一些是属于在这个交易所可以合格来用的，那这个环保署必须要赶快去把它做一个认定。
Carbon credit schemes, like the one in Taiwan, have been around for around 20 years and have had mixed success. As global temperatures continue to rise, experts say governments need to set clear standards to reach their goals of net zero carbon emissions. Alex Chen and Bryn Thomas for TaiwanPlus.
The transgender community is one of the most marginalized groups in the world. One issue that trans people continue to face here in Taiwan is updating their national identification cards. Harrell Hughes brings us this report on the difficult and lengthy process.
My gender is my choice.
More than 3,000 people gathered in Taipei in October last year to march for trans rights. Trans people across the world continue to face social stigmatization and countless obstacles, such as a lack of legal protections and insufficient access to proper health care. In Taiwan, a common problem trans people have is updating their official identification. These IDs are needed in dozens of everyday situations: traveling, going to school, voting, renting or buying a house, opening a bank account, applying for a marriage license, visiting the doctor, joining the military, finding employment, and almost any interaction with police. In every one of these instances, official identification is needed, and IDs that don't match the name or gender of their owner can affect the outcomes of them all.
Not so long ago, a transgender client was hired by an employer, but on the first day of work, they handed over their ID card to the employer, and the employer found out that they was transgender and fired them immediately.
In Taiwan, there are two main requirements to change a gender marker on an ID. The first is to undergo 2 psychiatric evaluations. The second is to provide proof of gender-affirming surgery, procedures that give people a body that fits their gender. Some say these are high hurdles to clear.
I'm mainly concerned about that, and first is the cost of this kind of surgery.
Gender-affirming surgery is not covered by Taiwan's national health insurance. The average cost can range from $2,000 to $26,000 US. Recovery time can be up to 6 months. But not all transgender people feel a need to change their bodies, and some activists say this requirement is completely unnecessary.
It's not only about money, but time or a quality of your life, of your well-being. And in our social life, it's not necessary for us to alter our genital because we actually we don't need to see them. Yeah, so people are trying to find alternative ways.
In 2021, one woman became the first person in Taiwan to legally change her gender marker. The court ruled the surgical requirement was unconstitutional, but her case was an exception to the rule. Many other cases have been dragging through the court system for more than 2 years.
We believe that gender identity is a basic human right, and everyone should have the right to have a gender marker that matches their identity.
The mental toll issues like this cause, combined with other societal shortcomings and prejudices, cannot be understated. The transgender community has one of the highest rates of suicide attempts in the world, nearly 8 times higher than for cis people. Taiwan is working to address the process of updating national ID cards, and offering support to one of the most marginalized communities in the world would go a long way in preventing high suicide rates and fostering acceptance. Devin Tsai and Harrell Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
Financial help for Taiwan students is on the way. The cabinet has announced subsidies for private universities and says it will scrap high school fees altogether. John Van Trieste looks at what this will mean for students who need support.
In classrooms like this one, some major financial hurdles will soon be removed. Taiwan's government is moving to make education more affordable. It's scrapping high school and vocational school fees nationwide. Meanwhile, students at private universities will get over $1,000 as a minimum annual subsidy, and student loans will be reformed, making them easier to pay back.
针对高中免学费、全面免学费的这部分的，可以有多帮助11万多的 学生，总共的经费大概是26亿左右，会以外加这个专案的经费持续性的来增加。
For Du Ling, this is fantastic news. She comes from a low-income household where heavy loans were the only way to stay in school. Now she's with the educational charity Kids Book House, setting up public events like this.
更好吧，就是我们也期盼，就是有更多孩子们有受到良好的教育。这件事情不会来得太晚，因为还是有很多需要就是学杂费减免的家庭。
But student groups say more can still be done.
教育部应该也要来落实说，我们其实各个县市在相关费用，比如说像冷气费都有相关的规定是不能超过一定的上限。像没有落实，很多的学校还是在收超额的费用。
Opposition parties say the ruling Democratic Progressive Party is splashing around money to drum up support ahead of next year's election. But if the legislature gets on board, the subsidies for private universities could take effect as soon as February. James Lin and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Meanwhile, in the U.S., the Supreme Court has ruled that a person's race can no longer be considered a factor in university admissions. The ruling upends decades of measures to boost the number of students of color in higher education, especially from Black and Hispanic communities, known as affirmative action. It's the latest controversial issue that the conservative majority Supreme Court has weighed in on. Justices previously struck down long-standing protections on abortion and the environment. U.S. President Joe Biden spoke out against the ruling.
You know, I know today's court decision is a severe disappointment to so many people, including me. But we cannot let the decision be a permanent setback for the country. We need to keep an open door of opportunities. We need to remember that diversity is our strength.
The authoritarian country of Turkmenistan has unveiled its first smart city. It costs more than $3 billion to build and is designed to house 70,000 people. All of the buildings are white and apartment blocks are 7 stories high, a number considered lucky in the Central Asian nation. The vehicles there must also be electric. The city's name, Arkadag, translates as protector. That's an unofficial title of the former president who established a personality cult during his rule. His son, the current president, oversaw Thursday's opening ceremony. Back in Taiwan, you don't generally hear about a celebrity tree. Ri-Jing Huang brings us this report on how an autumn maple in southeastern Taiwan has branched out to become a celebrity.
This upstanding member of the Taitung community is undergoing a health check. Tree experts from Japan and Taiwan have come to the southeastern county to make sure that the autumn maple is A-OK. You might not think so just by looking at it, but this tree is actually something of a local celebrity, one that's extremely popular with tourists. The experts trim off dead branches, adjust wire ropes for better support, and make sure the soil is good enough quality for its roots to grow. And the final verdict? It's still in tremendously good shape. So just what makes this tree so remarkable? It first started getting attention around 10 years ago, after appearing in this TV commercial for airline EVA Air. The ad features Japanese-Taiwanese movie star Kaneshiro Takeshi, who, for a few moments, is pictured taking a rest in a tree's shade. But in this case, a wooden performance turned out to be a star-making. Now, Taitung estimates that around 5 million tourists come to see the tree and the surrounding landscape each year, bringing in tens of millions of dollars in revenue.
只要来台东，我必定来访。最棒是风景也很好，那这棵树也真的保持得很好。
The tree has withstood a lot in its time. It survived typhoons and diseases and even a car accident. Local authorities hope it can continue to stay strong and sturdy and keep helping the local economy to flourish. Howard Zhang and Ri-Jing Huang for TaiwanPlus.
A house covered in balloons in central Taiwan is angering locals and authorities. The owner says the balloon and plant-covered house in Taitung City has artistic value. It's been compared to the house in the 2009 Pixar movie Up. In that film, thousands of balloons were attached to the top of a house, which then flew off. But it has also drawn complaints that it's messy and littered with trash. City authorities say the 72-year-old owner will face fines of up to $200 if it's not cleaned up. Researchers in Zurich have found a better way to understand ocean life with the help of a robotic fish. Jaime Ocon dives into this story.
gracefully and quietly gliding through the ocean. This is Belle, an autonomous robot fish. Belle's job is to film underwater and collect DNA samples for marine research. The robot was designed by mechanical engineering students in Zurich, Switzerland.
So our idea was to create a platform that actually fits into the ecosystem and that gets accepted as part of it. That's why we then developed a fish that behaves like a fish and is also accepted by other marine creatures as a fish.
The 3-foot-long robot can swim to different locations while taking samples and uses artificial intelligence to help it maneuver. It moves and behaves like a real fish using a silicon fin, which features 2 cavities that pump water in cycles.
If you look at the way that we're currently going into the oceans, those are large, either unmanned underwater vehicles, but they are definitely very disturbing, and they're certainly not made to go into these more delicate environments where we would love to get the eDNA from. So that's not our goal, right? We want to really go in there and be as silent as like a spy, just literally going in and being a spy on the marine life.
With this groundbreaking design, the team hopes to better understand marine biology and the health of reef ecosystems while exploring the ocean safely. James Lin, Sandy Chi, and Jaime Ocon for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Finally, we leave you with images of runners wearing heels of up to 15 centimeters for a high heel race that takes place every year during the LGBTQ Pride event in Madrid. I'm Eric Gao. Take care and see you next time.